Today I will share with you all in total 3 stories. These stories are a bit shorter, so hope you will enjoy them. Okay, so the first one is number 37 from the last scroll of the collection of parables from various sutras. In the past, there was a man who had 2 wives. The first wife had no children. The second one gave birth to a cute and good-looking baby boy. Their father loved his son so much, so this made the first wife jealous. However, she kept pretending and told others that she loved this baby boy so much as if he was her own child. Since she was so good to this boy that everyone around had no doubt on her sincerity. However, the wife was actually planning to harm the baby boy. When the baby turned 1 year old, the wife finally got a chance to take action. She used a needle to poke the top of the boy's head. The tiny needle pierced deep into his tiny brain. Therefore, the boy immediately felt sick and started crying nonstop. He no longer fed on his mother's milk. No one in the whole family had any idea on what happened to this boy. After 7 days, the baby boy passed away. The first wife was crying sadly, while the biological mother of the baby was even more heartbroken. She was overwhelmed by grief. After some time, the mother of the baby carried out some investigations and had reasons to suspect that it was the first wife who killed the baby. She was the murderer of her baby. At that time, the birth mother became very upset. On the one hand, she was so sad that her own baby had died, and on the other hand, she could not have revenge on the baby's murderer. All these factors made her health decline, and at the end, she died too. She died of misery combined with hatred. She wanted to have revenge on the murderer of the baby, that was the first wife. In order to revenge, she chose to reborn as a baby girl of the first wife. The girl was beautiful and lovely, so her mother loved her very much. However, the baby girl died when she was just 1. This upset her mother very much. She could not sit or eat comfortably without thinking about her lost child. Her grief was even more intense than the sadness when the second wife lost her baby boy last time. After that, the former second wife continued her revenge by being reborn as the baby of the first wife for consecutively 7 times. The babies all died or all passed away after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 years. She then had another pregnancy. The latest baby was born even more beautiful and lovely than all previous babies. But when she became 14, she died on the night when she was ready to get married. The mother was extremely shocked with sadness. She cried all day. She placed her daughter in a coffin, but refused to have it covered because she wanted to look at her beautiful daughter. She refused to talk and refused to eat. What saddened her most was that the dead body of her daughter not only did not decay, but got even prettier than before day after day. She simply could not let go her dear daughter. After about 20 days, an arahat heard of this case. He wanted to offer help and try to help them both because the lady had offered him food and shelter in the past. So He went to the lady's house to ask for food. The lady told a maid to offer him food. The Arahat refused to accept and told the maid that he wanted to talk to the lady. The lady thought that it was inappropriate for her to meet anyone because she was not in a good shape through grief. So she told the maid to give the Arahat a second offering and told him to leave. However, after several attempts, the Arahat still refused to leave and insisted to see the lady. Seeing that, the lady had to invite the Arahat to go into the house, although she was quite unwilling to do so. The Arahat saw the lady, who was in a terrible condition with uncombed hair and dirty face. She tried to hide her dirty face with her hands. He asked the lady, "What happened? Why are you like that? What happened with you?" The lady told the Arahat, "I gave birth consecutively to 7 lovely and pretty babies, but they all passed away one by one. Finally, I had this lovely daughter. Still, she died on the night of her wedding. It is too much for me to take. I am in so much pain. I don't want to live." The Arahat asked her, "There was another lady in this house. Why did she die?" This question shocked the crying lady suddenly. She thought to herself, why did he know about that? That was quite impossible. The Arahat then told her, "Tidy yourself up first, and I'm going to tell you that." The lady quickly combed her hair, tidied herself, and joined the Arahat again. The Arahat repeated his questions. Why did the second lady die? At this moment, she kept silence, feeling ashamed. The Arahat continued, "You killed her baby son, and so she died from sadness and hatred. So she chose to reborn 7 times as your daughters. She was your enemy, and she wanted to revenge, making you die of suffering and die of misery with a broken heart. Now, go to look at your daughter in the coffin. Find out if she looks pretty as before." The lady think about what he said and went to have a look. Oh, the dead body had already decayed, making it very smelly and unpleasant to go near. The Arahat then asked the lady, "Why can't you let go such a dirty corpse? Why are you thinking her always? Why are you not letting it go?" The lady felt ashamed of herself and at once arranged to have the daughter buried. She then begged to take the precepts from the Arahat. On the next day, the lady went to take the precepts as told by the Arahat. However, the late second wife turned herself into a poisonous snake, blocking the way to the temple. She wanted to kill the first lady for revenge. Being stopped by the snake, the first lady could not proceed to the temple. As it was getting late, she was afraid, thinking, "I'm going to take the precepts in the temple. Why is there a snake blocking my way?" The Arahat knew of this and went straight to where she was. The lady saw the Arahat. She was so happy and prostrated immediately to him. The Arahat talked to the snake. "You have tried to revenge for your son. You have been reborn again and again, 7 times as the daughters of the first lady. You are creating hatred towards one another. If you both stick to it, you will be harming each other for revenge in the next life. This hatred will continue on and on, life after life without an end. Nevertheless, you can repent for what you have done, and that can put an end to all that." However, if you try to stop her from taking the precepts now, the consequence will be very serious. You will fall into hell, life after life without an end. Watch out. On hearing the Arahat's teaching, the snakes began to understand the law of causes and effects. Therefore, the hatred in her mind was all cleared. The Arahat saw that the conditions for resolving the issues were mature, and so he congratulated the two ladies, saying, "You have been harming and blocking the other's way because of the karmic force from your past lives. You both should let go and forgive each other without harming one another." In the end, both the lady and the snake repented for their past mistakes to the Arahat. From the merits of listening to the Dharma, the snake died immediately and was reborn as a human being. The lady was relieved and happy after hearing the Dharma. She followed the Arahat and took the precepts. She then worked very diligently, following the Dharma. Finally, she attained the full realization of a stream entera. So she got the first fruit. So from the story, we learned that we can gain nothing if we keep on avenging and harming each other. If we don't understand the law of causes and effects, we shall keep on doing that, and that will bring us bitter outcome and unwholesome karma. In this story, the lady and the snakes are both lucky to have the chance to meet and listen to the teaching of Dharma from the Arahat. Otherwise, they would keep hurting one another in their lives to come and bring sufferings to both. We are all shown that if we have a full understanding of the law of causes and effects, we can let go our conflicts between one another and forgive each other, and then move on. Because of our willingness to let go and make repentance, the bad karmic force will be changed, and we shall have a better future. For example, if we hate others or are jealous of one another in our workplace, we shall not be treating others well. We may even try every means to step onto others to elevate ourselves in our job. This creates a bad environment for the running of the company. The working environment is not healthy, and there are lots of conflicts among colleagues. All sentient beings were our past relatives. They all have the Buddha nature and will one day be enlightened. Of course, before we can attain enlightenment, we need wisdoms and merits. We can only cultivate these through practices, dealing with other sentient beings. So we are helping one another on the path to Buddhahood. We have to learn the great compassion of the Bodhisattvas and should not bear any hatred in our heart. We should treat all beings with fairness so that our past karma with the other people can be resolved. And so on, from now on, we should maintain a good relationship with all beings. So this is the end for the first story. Okay, I will start the second story now, and we'll have discussions after I finish all three stories. So this story is from number 14 in the third fascicles of Da Zhuang Yan Lun Jing. In the past, there was a king. One day, he was having a walk with his ministers. He saw 500 beggars. They surrounded the king and urged the king to make some donations, saying, "Please help us with something." On hearing this, he perceived all at once that those beggars were reminding him that they had not been even poorer than those beggars before. He thought to himself, "If I do not make any donations to help others now, I would become as poor as these people in the future." He said to himself, These beggars were very rich in their past lives. They had heaps of wealth. However, they always claimed that they had nothing that they could donate to help others. That is exactly why they are experiencing such a poor and undesirable consequence today. I am a king now, but if I also say that I have got nothing to give to help others, I shall be like them, having a poor and miserable future life as a result. At that time, a minister called Tianfa dismounted from his horse, bowed respectfully, telling the king that the beggars were asking for some donations of all kinds. The king told the minister, although we heard the same thing, my understanding may be different from yours. You may think that these beggars are only asking for material kind of donation. However, my interpretation is different from yours. The king continued, these beggars actually are coming intentionally today, showing their poor and miserable appearance to remind me. They are showing me why they have such a miserable and poor appearance. They were mean, always refusing to donate and help others. They are lazy, dishonest. So they have to suffer such terrible condition. These silly and disgusting beggars said, we were kings. Being a king is just like the moon, accompanied always by many stars. We are always at the top, like standing on the top of a beautiful decorated umbrella. We are surrounded and served by talented and learned assistants and ministers. The common people will always give way to and remain on the side of the road when they hear or meet us, the kings. The king looks magnificent and majestic. Although we lead such an enjoyable life, because of our being mean in the past, without making any donations, we are here to suffer from that. This is the consequence of our past actions. They are reminding us, you are now enchanted by a warm and happy heart. If you cannot see through it, bad consequences or bitterness is bound to follow. Therefore, kings, you should know, our bitterness or poverty is the result of our past meanness. Do not act like what we have done. Make more donations. Don't suffer from poverty and bitterness like us as a result. After hearing the words from the king, the minister was very delighted. He bowed to the king and said, Buddha once said, if you see someone suffering, do not try to avoid him by keeping away or develop a feeling of contempt. You should examine yourself carefully. What have you done and said, Your Majesty, are exactly the idea of the Buddha. You can instantly see the underlying meaning of encountering the beggars. That's marvelous, Your Majesty. You have meticulous thoughts and you have remarkable power of observation. You understand and have a deep perception of Dharma of Buddha. You know the real world and you manage to rule the country well. You are indeed a great ruler. That's very true because you have the wisdom to understand the deep meaning of Buddhist Dharma. So you are a great king. The minister continued with praise, saying, theoretically, a ruler should always think of his people, care for them, and be kind to them. However, it is hard to maintain that in the long run. It is often difficult to do something benefiting oneself. It is even more difficult to do something that can benefit others. You may succeed doing that for once or twice, but it is hard to keep to do that for long. It is hard to become a human being and build confidence in life. Possession of wealth is not permanent. It is hard to obtain satisfaction, and fortune is also hard to come across. To become a human after recognition process is difficult. The rare chance can be compared to the case of a blind sea turtle. It has a very long life. It serves once every 100 years. There is a piece of wood with a hole in the middle, floating on the water. It is drifting with the water currents. The blind turtle needs to service through the hole in the piece of the floating wood. Remember, it was only a chance every 100 years. It is also blind, and the location of the piece of wood is not fixed. So you see how difficult it is for a sea turtle to succeed? The chance of becoming a human being is just as difficult. The chance is very small. Your Majesty, you have now got all such difficult to meet conditions. You should grasp the opportunity. Don't let your desire for enjoyment take control. A human life is not long-lasting. It is short like lightning. Although you have the human body now, it is fragile and will not last long. When one is near the end of his life, all the movements of his joints slow down with the dropping of his shoulders. Although he can still maintain the basic manners of walking, staying, sitting, and lying, his movements are not as free as before. When both of his eyes turn up, he is falling into the bitterness of death. Although he is accompanied by all his relatives, he can only see them crying over his death. They may touch his hands, comforting him, saying, "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid." But all these are useless to him because he still has to continue with his uncertain road. So all the above leads to more misery and bitterness. Knowing that death is near, he can do nothing to stop it. And even if he has more wealth, he cannot use it as food for the long road of death and uncertainty. When one's circulation and breathing stop to function, his facial appearance changes too. Death really comes. It is just like an oil lamp. It will stop to give out light when the oil's all used up. If you have reached this point, can you still practice the 6 parameters for Bodhisattva? Can you still give, keep to the ethics, be patient, always practice with efforts, with concentration, and practice with wisdom? So make good use of your time now. Practice the above parameters wholeheartedly when you are still healthy and with a clear mind. Otherwise, when uncertainty comes, there will not be time even for you to feel sorry. There's a few hints for us from this story. Don't have contempt for others when we see someone suffering. We should think carefully. If we cannot develop a kind heart for others, or at least take precautions, we may end up in the future of facing the same situation, bringing us suffering as consequence. We need to have a far sight. If we have the above-mentioned weakness, we need to eradicate it as fast as possible. We need to tackle the problem promptly. There is not much time for that. Okay, so the second story is finished. The third story, An Ignorant Man. Number 13, in the second fascicle of verses of Dharma with parables. In the past, at the time when Buddha was staying at Shravasti, there was an old Brahmin who was about 80 years old. Although this old Brahmin was extremely rich and had lots of assets, he was stubborn and ignorant. He was very stingy and would not make any dana or do any charity. This old Brahmin was hard to teach because he did not know moral standards and he also did not understand the principle of impermanence. So every day he was busy earning money for his family and for his living. He also had a great interest in building comfortable houses. He built many houses, one after another. In his house, he not only had a grand hall at the front, but he also built other halls, a balcony, a greenhouse, and more than 10 rooms along both sides of the halls. Now he was busy completing the hall at the far back. One day, through observation, Buddha noticed that the life of this old Brahmin would come to an end soon. However, this old Brahmin had no idea that he was going to die. He was still busy building houses desperately and made himself extremely tired and exhausted, which is pitiful. Buddha had great compassion to all beings. Buddha wanted to help and guide this old Brahmin. So Buddha went to the Brahmin's house with Ananda. Buddha greeted this old Brahmin and said, "You are supervising the building construction every day. That is hard work. You have already got so many halls in your house. Why do you still need to build another building?" The Brahmin answered, "These halls and rooms all have different functions. The grand hall at the front is the reception area and the rooms for guests. The hall at the back is the place for us to live. Our kids and servants live in the rooms on both sides next to the halls. When it is hot in the summer, we can stay cool on the balcony. And when the weather is cold in winter, we can be warm staying in the greenhouse." Buddha said, "I have a verse that is helpful to your life. I want to give it to you as present. Do you have time to sit down and have a talk with me?" The Brahmin replied, "Buddha, I'm very sorry. I'm now urgently trying to complete the construction of my house. I really do not have time to listen to your Dharma teaching now. I will find another time to learn from you. With regards to the verse that you want to give me, please say it now." So Buddha said the verse, "To have sons and wealth, want it so impatiently. What a stupid thought. Even I myself do not exist. Why would I worry about the wealth of my son? Summer ends here, and so does winter. Silly ones have lots of worries, but they are not aware of coming changes. Ignorant ones are the most foolish, thinking that they are the wise ones. Foolish ones think that they are better than the wise ones, and they are extremely stupid." So the Brahmin was not in the mood for listening to the verse. He said, "Buddha, the teaching from the verse is very good, but sadly I am too busy now. Let's talk about it again another time." Buddha saw that there was no condition present for his teaching, so Buddha left. The Brahmin then continued to supervise his construction work. When he was advising the workers to put on the roof beam right, the heavy piece of wood accidentally fell and hit the Brahman's head, and he died immediately at that sight. All the Brahman's family members were crying in grief. This tragedy shocked the neighbors. The accident happened not long after Buddha left the place. Buddha met 10 Brahmins on the way. They asked Buddha, "Excuse me, where did you come from?" Buddha replied, "I left the old Brahman's house not long ago. I did give him Dharma teaching, but unfortunately, the old Brahman only have one thing in his mind, which is to build houses. He did not take in what I said, and he did not have an understanding of the principle of impermanence.
What
As a
happened, Lovey?
result,
You're not going out?
But we're going to swim instead.
Nice.
Okay. As a result, he still could not escape from his death under the law of impermanence. Buddha used this opportunity to teach the Brahmins his Dharma using the verse he prepared for the elder Brahman. The Brahmins were all happy to hear the teaching of Buddha. Buddha further told those Brahmins that those ignorant and foolish people trying to get close to the people of wisdom is similar to those who try to taste something only using a water ladle. We cannot learn anything unless we learn it by our personal experience. It is just like trying to get the taste of the soup using a water ladle, having it soaked in the yummy soup for a long time. We shall never know the taste of the soup unless we use our tongue to taste the soup on the ladle. When a wise and open-minded person get close to those wise ones, the situation is like those who use the tongue to taste the food. You can know the taste of the food immediately. On the other hand, the action of those foolish ones will mostly bring themselves misfortune and disaster. They only know to persist in doing unwholesome deeds that would definitely bring them disasters eventually. For those people who committed unwholesome deeds, their own bad karmic force brought them disasters. Even though these peoples are now regretting for what they have done, the only thing they can do now is to cry bitterly. They should understand the truth that all karmic effects are brought by their own actions in the past. After listening to Buddha's teachings, the Brahmins were having a strong faith in Buddhism. They bowed to the Buddha and practiced accordingly to Dharma happily. In the Sutra on Impermanence, it stated that the earth, the sun, and the moon will all perish when their lives comes to an end, when conditions meet. Nothing can escape from the law of impermanence. All sentient beings, matters, things, everything in this world are changing all the time, in every second, or even less than that. How long can we live? If we only focus on enjoyments, entertainments, wealth, lust, fame, food and drink, sleep, and so on every day, without knowing the impermanence may come at any moment, then things in our life will be changed, and we have no choice but only to follow the karmic force and keep transmigrating in the bitter sea of life and death. We are alive when we can still breathe, so we must always bear in mind that life is short and we can die at any time. If we can see the truth, knowing the reality in those matters, let go, and not to be affected by the 5 desires originated from the things seen, heard, smelled, tasted, or touched. If we have a complete understanding of the karmic force, a correct understanding of the law of causes and effects and dependent origination, then we should seize our opportunity, value our time, grasp all causes and conditions at each moment, practice diligently in gaining merits and wisdom. By then, there are chances for us to stop from having sufferings from cyclic existence. The next I want to share with you is something I really witnessed. A very good friend of my parents got retired early. He retired at 45. He had good planning, and so he could live simply but happily with his family. He is not rich, but he made wise use of his resources. He is a very devoted Buddhist, and he did a lot of voluntary work at the temple. He made a lot of offerings to the masters. He visited Tibet, China, and India, visiting and helped to repair old temples. He also visited homes for the aged and give those residents fruits and drinks. He is very willingly to help others in need. And he's about 60 something now. So during these 20 years, he used his time to learn Dharma and practice using the Dharma. He was very healthy till one day he felt unwell, and he went to the hospital for a checkup. However, before he could see the doctor, he was found fainted in the front of the toilets in the hospital. The staff in the emergency ward tried their best to save him. Anyway, his heart stopped pumping twice and needed to be shocked several times using defibrillators and CPR. First time, his heart has stopped for 15 minutes. Then they saved him. And then his heart stopped again for 5 minutes. But he was safe. So then he was transferred to the ICU, where he remained in coma for 4 whole days. Because of the lack of oxygen supply to his brain when his heart stopped work, even his breathing and blood circulation needed to be continued using a machine. So he was just like a porcupine with tubes inserted into his body here and there. During this period, all his family members and friends were worried. The masters in his temple started to pray for him together with the temples in the Tibetan and India. After 4 days, he woke up. Although he was still waiting to know what happened to his body, anyway, he was saved. Why can he be revived? I do not want to go into being superstitious. However, it can be the result of all his good works done during his life or the previous one. Of course, you may argue that, why is he sick in the first place? No one is perfect. So he might have done something not so good that the karmic force brought him such life-threatening experience. In a nutshell, making donations generously will certainly bring us benefits sometimes, this life or the future ones. So he recovered quite well. We were very worried for him because when he woke up from a coma, he couldn't recognize anyone. But luckily, after a day, all his memories came back, and later all the organs functioned okay, and he got home after a week in a normal ward. Okay, so that's the end of my sharing for today.
Larry, we stuck again? Larry? Hello?
Yeah, it looks like she got stuck.
Stuck again?
On my screen. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, at least the story is done.
Right, we made it through this time.
Huh.
Yesterday, you may remember, right when at the beginning.
Yeah, I know. But what is... Maybe it's a little... I think it's because it's too far, right? The distance, the signal. Hello?
No,
No, I think
it's because of her internet connection.
Yeah, they connect.
We have this problem because each week I have classes with her, and yeah, she drops out quite often.
You drop out?
She's back.
Hello, you back? Not yet.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Did a sheep walk in front of her antenna or something?
Yeah, each time when I press the PowerPoint off or on, my computer is just stuck. I think the internet is not very stable. Sorry about that.
Fine, we understand.
That's called impermanence.
I don't know. Huh?
That's called impermanence.
Impermanence, yes. But we are using the fiber. It's not a bad internet. I don't understand why they keep doing that.
Permanent Wi-Fi.
Probably better Wi-Fi, yeah.
So we still have some time left. Anyone got anything that they want to say about these stories, or any thought that you want to share, or any good things that you've done during these times, or any good practice or methods that you think really help you and you want to share with others?
First of all, Venerable ShiYi, I wanted to thank you very much for all these parables that you have told us. And it also tells us the urgency of developing good karma at this stage of our life, and how wonderful an opportunity for us to be living as human beings, where we are, well, you might call it masters of our own fate. We can determine what our future can be, instead of being like a turtle trying to go through the blind turtle, going through the whole of the wood, you know. So these stories, I mean, and similar stories that you have told us too, are really very valuable. And although we may have heard of some stories similar to this before, but it is repetition, and it's good for us to recapitulate some of these stories and remind us how fortunate we are to be living as human beings, and to have the physical abilities and capabilities of developing good karma. So I personally want to thank you very much for sharing all these stories with us. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for joining the class and also share with us. I mean, these stories sometimes it's kind of like repeating the theme in the story, or the ideas. But actually, these are the things we always forget. That's why Buddha had to repeat and repeat and repeat again. Yes. And because he taught these stories when he went to different places. Yes. So, I mean, the idea of the teachings are the same thing, the teachings, but when he applied it to everyone, it's in different conditions. So it changes a little bit. But these are the main things we should focus on during our life, in our daily actions. Yes, so that is how to apply the Dharma in life. It's by changing our mindset, so that our karma can be pure and not doing the unwholesome deeds anymore. This is what Buddha tried to help us, I guess.
Yes, yeah, I think it's very good. And often most of us are so busy in our personal pursuits and with our daily lives, we don't think of all these other things that we need to be doing, you know. And so very good, especially the one with the wealth is not permanent. I enjoy that story, because all of us, especially in our stages of life, we are so busy trying to develop, quote unquote, our wealth, you know, and we sometimes don't have time to to develop the good karma and do all these things that should benefit everyone, including ourselves too, of course. So thank you.
Yeah. And thank you, Henry. Justine, you want to say something?
Yeah, I have this thing where, I mean, you show obvious cases of, wrongdoing and stuff like that. There's a fine line between revenge and justice, though. And so sometimes I often wonder where to draw the line, because I mean, yes, you can defend yourself, but you still can get hurt when you defend yourself. In fact, you can get hurt more when you defend yourself than letting, some action happen to you, of course, because our bodies are so sensitive. So I have to sit and actually think about it sometimes.
Actually, when someone hurts you or do something bad to you, they will have the consequence themselves. Under the law of the country, if they kill someone, they will be put in the prison, or they will have their punishment. But really, if they really hurt someone and it really brought them pain and brought the really hurt the person and their families, this is really true. It is really hard to forgive those who hurt them. But if this hatred keep happening inside the victim's heart or the victim's family's heart, it is not going to help them. So I'm not saying that those people who hurt others, their action is correct. I'm not saying that. But what have happened already happened, and they will face the consequence themselves, and they will face the bad karma themselves. They may go to hell for killing another person, or they will have really bad karmas for the next life. But if we ourselves have the hatred and want to do revenge and being unhappy, and then the rest of our lives will not going to have a good mood, everything's get affected, it is not worth it. Justine?
I don't think so. Yeah. No, it's just that if somebody gets wrongfully thrown into prison and there for 40 years, they don't really have a life. So, and this is happening in this country. That's all.
And I mean, well, if that is injustice, it is wrong. But it's also because of karma, I guess, Justine. There is some sort of karma that he didn't really do this crime, but because for the karma, that maybe some bad karmas that make him that had to suffer for a bit of time. So being put in the jail injustice maybe is the bad effects, the karmic effect that he got to have. So after this period, he can be released, and his life will be back in normal.
Are you also? I think that's because of the condition is right.
Yes.
Get caught in the some people drive a certain thing. The condition, the policeman is just right there and waiting for you to commit the speeding or something. So the condition is very important too, not just the karma. The karma is always there, but the condition.
The conditions. Yes.
Yeah. So
thank you, Faye.
I would suggest everybody read all this parable.
Is it bad karma?
Story you could remind yourself, and also repeating this story to your friend, to your family, to anybody, because it gives you the like a hint. Any action you're doing it. So everybody share the understanding of this story, so your behavior will be under protection, because you're careful not doing something wrong or something not good. It's always wholesome. I think this story is good to share with a lot of people.
I have a question. Is it bad karma to defend yourself? For example, a mosquito lands on your forearm. If it bites you, you might get malaria. If you kill that mosquito, is that?
That's a reaction. That's a reaction. You can not let them. Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
would that be bad karma?
The bad karma.
Well, you know, if you accidentally killed an insect, your bad karma is not as great as if you kill a person.
So you see the mosquito land on
Yeah.
your, must you let it bite you? Or if
Yeah.
you going to
No, you don't let them
No.
bite. You can
you can you know, get it away, or you know, in the environment I live in Jakarta, we had lots of mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So what do? I put some ointment. It's the mosquito and insects hates those smells, so they don't bite me.
Even like sesame oil, they don't like it. It's too greasy, right?
Mince oils.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah, it will have some sort of bad karma. It is, because you're still killing a life, but the karma is not as big as you kill a person or other, or not as big as like killing a person. Yeah, but if you always have a heart of killing things, and then when this thinking keep accumulating in the head, it is hard to quit this habit.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is this what Tom?
Yes.
Tom, are you the one asking for the mosquito?
Yes.
Yeah, I was told by one of the Sifu, like if you accidentally have a car accident and the person get killed by you, the karma will be there, but not heavy, because you not intentionally kill them. Same thing with the mosquito. So alive is alive. So it doesn't matter if you kill someone and unexpectedly, or you just reaction to kill the mosquito that going to bite you, but they may not be biting yet, so you just chase them away. So
yes.
you have a heavy karma or light karma. I think it's probably we need to know about that.
Yeah. So the intention is the key point, whether we intend to kill. If we didn't, and accidentally that person died, it is not, you know, what we intend to do. So the bad karmic deeds will not be on us.
So it's very much like the law of crimes in our country. You need a bad act and a bad mental state, different mental states aggravate the crime depending on what you.
Well, the crime, I think the intention is to destroy somebody's stuff. That's a big karma, because they intentionally to hurt somebody else's, even not their life, but it's that their things is not your thing. So it is not nice.
Right. But my question though was in self-defense, to preserve your current body.
Yeah.
You were to decide.
Yeah.
This person is actually going to threaten me. You might have a weapon, a robber in the street, for example. You decide you're going to fight that person, and you do.
Yes.
Are you building or banking bad karma? Must you prostrate yourself in the face of all kinds of aggression, simply build merit on your way to nirvana, or are you allowed to make the most of your current existence and assert yourself as necessary to protect it?
Yeah, the intention, I think, is very important, because you intending to do bad, then you'll be bad. If your intention not bad, and then you come out the result bad, that's not too bad either, right?
I guess. My question though is, if your intention is, I am going to protect myself, my
that's okay.
Impermanent form, well, something to protect against a threat that's real. Is that bad karma?
Well, if you want to protect yourself, that is correct. It is very how can I say, it is normal. But when you protect yourself, don't kill the other person. I mean, you can maybe hurt him so that stop his actions, but not really killing him. You see what I mean? So if that person's not really killed, I mean, you hurt that person, but you also save yourself. I think the karma is not too bad compared with killing that person. You see what I mean?
Proportionate.
Yeah. I mean, try to stop what happened.
Who keeps track of karma? How is that accounted for?
It's just in yourself. Well, it's just impermanent self, but no one look at. It's not a thing that that someone observe you. No. It is all in yourself.
Interesting.
Your own action.
Yeah.
The best way to think about it is like chaos theory, because I mean your actions do have karmic weight, but sometimes you just don't know what the consequences are, right? Like a butterfly flapping its wings.
Right, the butterfly effect, absolutely.
Yeah.
Butterfly effect.
Very interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. It's good discussion and questions that you have. Yeah.
It's fascinating. It really is, because as a guide to living, it seems to work, I think. Pay attention to what you are doing now, because it will come back to you in the future in good ways and bad. And also visit good and bad consequences on all of those around us.
Yes. And we don't have to think about all the good things that we do are for our future lives. No. If we improve ourselves and be nice and, do all these good, wholesome deeds, actually our life will improve at the present. You can see, in the next few years, you already can see some changes.
Right. That's right.
So it can help you in this life. And help your friends and your family members. It can make a difference. Okay.